Clips. Tonight at 11.
Doom!
It's a plan! And I'm angry! I'm not a slave! I've broken the conditioning! It doesn't work on me! I'm primitive, I'm real, I know the enemy, and if we can have this spirit of normal humanity spread, it's over for the globalist! Break the conditioning now! Excuse me.
This is not the InfoWars Nightly News, where the answer to 1984 is not $19.95 plus shipping and handling, but the answer is to try and understand the double-barrel bullcrap, the double-speak, and the Orwellian wonderland we now find ourselves in. So sit back and relax as I take you through a real alternative look at the news and so-called alternative media alike. Enjoy.
Clips. That's life. Hey man, it wouldn't be a live broadcast without forgetting to put the fucking microphone on. Anyway, and as I was saying there, that is the meaning of life. Angel came down in my sleep last night, meaning of life. What I was basically saying is, I can't listen to my mad ramblings back. It's a mismatch of shit that just pops into my head rather than any sort of a structured fucking delivery. Oh, pardon me. And as therapeutical as the word that's on the tip of my tongue I can't say. As beautiful as that is, it's not nice to listen to. It's great for me, just like, bleh, you know, it's like, it's my, I was going to say my casting couch, but it's my therapy couch. So I've got a pen and paper this time, and if I start talking about something, I'm going to try and finish talking about it. But I will try. Whether it'll happen or not, who knows. Anyway, welcome one and all. Have you been watching the news this week? I haven't. I get my news for TalkSport. I don't watch any YouTube. When I say that, I mean like the talking heads, the communities of the communities of the communities of the communities, you know, like endlessly sitting around procrastinating about the end of the world this week. It reminds me of Pinky in the Brain, you know. Okay, brain, what's gonna kill us this week? You know, and it's just boom, bum, 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 bum. Now we're coming out of lockdown. The narrative changes, you know. It was like, we're going to be in lockdown forever. We're never going to get back to normal. And as things get back to normal, it's like, they've put microchips in their 5G vaccinations. You know, it's one thing or the other to turn people, for lack of a better way of framing it, mental midgets into raving lunatics. And again, here's one of the biggest elephant in the rooms. See, there's different elephants in different rooms. You know, this shit's massive. One of the main elephants in the room is everybody sitting around. Hold on. I need to finish this. And if you haven't seen this contraption, it is amazing. But anyway, it's just like a wee water thing on a vaporizer. It's business. So, elephant in the room that nobody talks about. All the New World Order warriors and all that, right? Sitting around want to fight the New World Order. Talking about how the New World Order is destroying the family. Well, their participation in fighting the New World Order is, in my observations, a lot of the time it's destroying their relationships with their families and with their family and friends, because a lot of the time if they've been riled up so much that when they're in the company of any of their family and friends, they're raving lunatics. If it ain't fluoride, Nibiru, Bigfoot, aliens, whatever's going to kill you this week, you've been turned into and it's not fun to be around. And the evidence, so while going around proclaiming to try and save the family by looking at rap videos and thinking it's sexually provocative, what you're actually doing is contributing to the death of your own family, because you're not even looking after your own shit. Because you've been tuned to the moon. You've been signed on to somebody else's cause. And on that note, so now I'm not saying this is absolutely spot on in every case, but in my experience, in my journey through the conspiracy world, on your stereotypical basis, that seems to be true. You know, fighting with your family because you're online trying to save the world and stop the New World Order destroying family. It's like, the irony is doesn't escape me. But it's just the priorities, isn't it? And it's how easily led to water you are. Somebody else's campaign and stuff. So that's going to be the kind of proviso, talking about the elephant in the room. Talking about the things that, if you're in the cult, you can't talk about because you'll get kicked out. People won't be friends with you anymore because you're challenging their leaders and whatnot. Whereas I don't watch YouTube anymore. I don't get, like, if somebody is only friends with you because of what you say on YouTube, they ain't your friend. It's fake as fuck. It's fake as fuck, so it is. So if you're worried about having if you feel some sort of a group conformity within some sort of a community that labels themselves as truthers or whatever, then the warning signs is there. They don't proclaim. They are not what they don't do what they say on the tin. I would argue. So, I don't watch the news anymore. I get my news for Talk Sport. I don't watch talking heads on YouTube and stuff anymore. I'm out the game of caring about the personalities and the doom merchants telling you how you're going to die this week. But I'm going to watch the news once a week on this show and have some shits and giggles at it. Because there is you don't need to be a sheeple. You don't need to be a full-blown conspiratard. There is a middle ground where the vast majority of people actually live. And you're allowed to be there. You're allowed to be in the middle ground and call out the fucking retardation on all sides. And the hypocrisies from all sides, you know? Like, your average conspiratard getting, like, pure offended by getting called a conspiratard while calling everybody else of the human race a sheeple for the past 10 years. You know, hypocrisies. I used to do that, man. I used to call people sheeple and all that. Not for it, you need to go back about 8 years. 6 or 8 years to find me calling people sheeple. The people sheeple. Because the hypocrisy of it wasn't lost, and also as well the amount of people that would be classed as sheeple, you know, the people that didn't believe in fake snow, Nibiru, obsessed about the Federal Reserve and the creation of money and all that scam and all that shit. People that didn't obsess about this, the people that didn't let it take over their life, the people that didn't get into a cult-like mentality with all these beliefs that in the cold light of day and in hindsight as well, you can stand back and look at who gained politically by injecting these talking points into the head of the youth. I know my conclusions, but ask yourself the questions. Because if you've been paying attention to the conspiracy truther world for as long as I have, 10 years or whatever, then the writing's on the wall. I mean, how many of your friends have went to UKIP rallies because of the back of conspiracies online? How many of your friends love Tommy Robinson now? Well, I hate Tommy Robinson, but you know, some of the things he brings up, that's how they get you, man. They might not tell you what to think, but they tell you what to think about. Anyway. And, aye, that looks cool. But it fucking turns this place into a fucking sauna. Believe it or not. See that little flame? Heats this motherfucking place up like a motherfucker. Anyway, so welcome one and all. Hopefully yous are all well and not dying of any viruses or whatnot. Whether you are or are not. Getting your jag. You butter in. Cheers, Miss Spice and Cha. About the no audio. Yeah. I knew I didn't put the audio on. I was just doing it for shits and giggles. Right, anyway, let's see. Oh, we've got a wee bit of a... Oh, no, there's a button in here that I wanted.
Remarkably well. My husband and I had our second vaccinations today, which is incredible. But what's
your plan for the economy of Scotland over the next 3 to...
Oh no! Uh-oh. Looks like we're going to have to masturbate. I mean, watch the debate. There is no news at 8 today on the Tuesday. So, let's watch some of this pish. But it's already been turned into a cock and bull story, innit? With sturgeon and salmon. The wee slippery fishes. And the salmon starting up his own splinter group of the SNP. At least we might have some competition up here, you know what I mean? Said, see, Carl, the SNP shall rule for 1,000 years. We shall have no opposition up here. Well, all the time in control of the one single police force. You know, I've always meant to do this research. That means Google it. See if there is any single police force in the world that is in control, or like in a so-called democracy, you know, with separation of powers and shit. If there is a single police force in charge of over 6.5 million people. See, Salmon is starting up some sort of a super megasaur politician fucking entity as well. I don't know, him and his mates are joining together to start some sort of a megasaurus, super saur, politician saur. Aye, Power Rangers, that's not where I'm stealing it from.
to 5 years, so basically the lifetime of the next parliament?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's to continue to suppress.
Right. Should I go to all the trouble? No, hold on. Nah, this is buzzing.
COVID, so that we can get our economy restarted again. Businesses, the length and breadth of the...
Hold on. Might be worth it. It might just be worth it. Oh. Right, perfect, man. This is going to be worth it. As you can see, no expense paid. Right, so where is Sturgeon? We need one with hair. There is Sturgeon there, right? Now, I don't care what anybody says. This is Sturgeon. I don't even know how to do this either, but I'm going to try and do it. Ah, yeah, faking da ba da ba da. There's an easier way of doing this, I know, but I forget. Oh, yeah. Right, all I do is want Sturgeon. I've got too many screens open. And I'm getting well confused. Right. Right, anyway. That's Sturgeon there. That's what I'm getting at. Look. Right, that's why I call her Lego here. Lego man. Lego woman. Lego man. Lego woman.
Country want to start trading, and that's my immediate focus. As we recover our economy, we need to continue to support businesses. We will pay in April start-up grants as businesses start to trade again. We've also guaranteed 100% rates relief for the next financial year for the sectors that are most affected to give vital help for a period longer. We also need to make sure that we are supporting people to reskill. A national transition training fund is one of our policies, as is a young person's guarantee. One of the key things is that we don't allow young people to bear the legacy of this pandemic. And then longer term, a massive investment in infrastructure. 100,000 new affordable homes, which will support 14,000 jobs a year, and aligning our economic recovery with the imperative to tackle climate change. So investment in renewable heating of our homes.
See, the problem about listening to politicians is they're good speakers. So you only listen to them 5 minutes and believe maybe 25% of the bullshit they spew, and you're like, hold on a sec, sign me up. You Captain Planet here's going to save the world, give us all money, free money, brilliant healthcare. You're just going to do fucking pretty much everything. Everything. Ain't that right, Sturgeon?
Yes, as I said in my opening remarks, only when the crisis has passed. I think people can look at me over the past year and know that my absolute focus is on steering the country.
Look at me.
But if we want to make sure that the recovery is in Scotland's hands, that the decisions we take are the ones we want to take, then giving people the choice of independence when the crisis has passed is important to.
Right, see that, like, whether you agree or disagree on independence, man, how often are you going to fucking ask? Do you know what I mean? They've asked this question twice before, and it's going to be a once in a generation. They don't get the answer they want, and they keep coming at it. And how can you proclaim to be pro-independence when you just want to swap one union for another? You know, if you're going to outsource your shit, I'd rather it be done in London than Brussels. But as we all know, the SNP have genuine, bona fide Nazi roots.
Pre-COVID levels.
Google that shit. The founder of the SNP was a Nazi supporter during World War II. And go and look at the guy. The fucking Scotland was deep in the street in World War II. Like, we had Nazis hiding in the Highlands.
We're out of the Parliament and
it's the royal family
hubs, so they have decision-making power and resources. And crucially, we've got to have a youth jobs guarantee that actually does what it says it's going to do, and that supports young people across our.
What? That politicians are going to deliver something that does what it says it does? No fucking chance. Never seen it. Never happened. It's like almost like a politician's budget, staying on budget. Do you know what I mean? It's like Ooh, I want to hear what she's saying.
Vision for a really positive future. You'll find in our manifesto costed policies, which I call three-way wins. They're good for the economy, they create...
Fuck off back to America, fucking hippy-dippy bitch. Now, this is where my xenophobia kicks in, man, right? I don't, it doesn't bother, I don't care the colour of your skin, it's the accent, right? And I noticed this to be true in me, right? During watching the Scottish Parliament, and the old leader of Scottish Labour, who was a fucking Yorkshireman, and I'm just sitting, I'm like, no, and he's like, and I'm like, at the Scottish Parliament, there's not even got a fucking Scottish accent. Like, when did we start fucking turning into the British Parliament? Do you know what I mean? But like, I was like, just that, like, mate, fuck off. Go and look after Yorkshire affairs. Go and fucking vote in the price of Hovis. Yeah, bastard. We kicked him out though. He wasn't Scottish enough.
Universities with some of the best ideas, technology spin-outs, intellectual property. And we need to fully utilise those technologies, including things like hydrogen, which is going to be at the centre of the new energy sources for the future. We need to create a youth jobs guarantee. We need to make sure, though, as we transition out of the...
We need to shut out the gold bars. You see, I just can't believe any politician at any point, ever. I can't. It can't be done. They can't tell the truth. As you may or may not be aware, my patented, copyrighted, in the line waiting to happen Saturday night game show for politicians is called Yes, No, or Fucking Die. So you put politician in the box, and I've got three options. They answer yes, they answer no, or they fucking die. And I think that would rid the world of like pretty much 99.9% of the politicians. And the rest of them, nobody would vote for because they're telling the truth. Are you here for the money? David Cameron. I hear David Cameron getting stick for making coin after he left the post of Prime Minister. What do you expect when you pay them a pittance? Anyway.
Was pushing for another independence referendum. So is the focus really on a COVID recovery, or is your focus on a referendum?
Nicholas Sturgeon.
Well, if I can answer
Put your hand
point,
up.
First of all, we haven't put an independence referendum bill through the Parliament. We published a draft, as we said we would. I think it's 9
I can't
pages
listen to this shit.
long.
Let's
I'll
skip
leave other
back.
people to judge whether my focus has been...
Because I believe I would murder.
Oh man, get the race baiting a Floyd Mayweather or something.
I'm Ross Atkins, welcome to Outside Source. A witness has told a court in Minneapolis he dialed 911 after seeing police kneel on the neck of George Floyd.
That is correct. I did call the police on the police.
Right. And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
It's day 2 of the trial of former officer Derek Chauvin, who faces murder charges. I will also turn to Myanmar. 2,000 refugees have been turned back by Thailand following airstrikes near the border by the leaders of Myanmar's military coup. And as lockdown restrictions ease in England, we'll look at how people can keep
Who's the old
risk of
colonial power in
transmission
there?
low if cases of coronavirus begin to rise again.
Filthy Europeans are going to stop us going on their summer holidays.
It's day 2 of the trial of Derek Chauvin. He's the former police officer charged with the murder of George Floyd in May last year. On day 1, both sides laid out their cases, and today the prosecution is continuing to make its. As part of that, we've been hearing from witnesses. First of all, we heard from Donald Williams III. He has a background in mixed martial arts, and he can be heard on footage of the arrest, yelling at the police to get off George Floyd. Here's the prosecution questioning him.
At some point, did you make a 911 call?
That is correct. I did call the police on the police.
All right. And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
And so you felt a need to call the police?
I felt the need to call the police on the police.
He was then cross-examined by the lead defence lawyer, Eric Nelson. He questioned Mr. Williams about his martial arts background and about the timing of his arrival at the scene. And in this competitive exchange, Mr. Nelson questioned Mr. Williams about his own conduct during the arrest.
And it's fair to say that prior to your arrival there, you had no idea what had been going on in the area?
No, not at all. Like I said, I just seen squad cars and didn't know what was going on.
Right. And you testified that as you kind of came around the corner, your energy sort of pulled you towards that incident, right?
Yeah, that's totally correct.
So you would have absolutely no idea that an ambulance was called 3 minutes before you arrived?
Don't know anything about that.
You would have had no idea that an ambulance was stepped up to code 3, which means get here quick, 2 minutes before you arrived.
No recollections of any of that.
You weren't there, you wouldn't possibly know, right?
Wouldn't know at all.
Well, another witness has been named as Darnella because she's
the
18.
world no
Her
burning
full
enough,
identity
man? Do we
being
need any
protected
more
by the
race
court.
baiting?
She's the person who filmed the video that recorded what happened, the one that was viewed all over the world, that showed the 9 minutes and more that Derek Chauvin put his knee on George Floyd's neck. Here's some of her testimony.
So tell the jury what you observed, what you heard when you stopped to look at what was happening there at the scene.
I heard George Floyd saying, "I can't breathe, please get off of me. I can't breathe." He cried for his mom. He was in pain. It seemed like he knew. It seemed like he knew it was over for him.
Now, Derek Chauvin is facing 3 charges: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. They all have differing burdens of proof. For the second-degree murder charge, prosecutors must prove that Derek Chauvin caused George Floyd's death while committing or trying to commit a crime.
Whatever this guy does or doesn't get charged way down the
assaulting
line,
him by having his
it's going to
knee
be
on
riots.
George Floyd's neck. The
It's going to be an
third-degree murder
excuse
charge
to
is
fucking
easier to prove.
pit
Prosecutors must
man
show that
against
Mr. Floyd's
man.
death was caused by an act that was clearly dangerous, but not necessarily a crime. Finally, the least serious of the charges is manslaughter, and that requires proof that Mr. Chauvin caused George Floyd's death through negligence. So that's what the prosecution needs to prove. Here's Shauna Lloyd, the president of the National Black Trial Lawyers Association, with her assessment of the prosecution's approach.
The prosecution is doing a very good job of layering it. They're also layering in different points of view. So whether you're a 911 dispatcher who's used to emergency situations with high violence, she thought something was wrong. An average MMA fighter thought something was wrong. It's cross sections of people, of perspectives that could clearly see that this was excessive force. So I think they're layering that cake for us.
Now, while the prosecution is focused on those final 9 minutes and 29 seconds, the defence argues
it's the racial framing of this that does my tits in.
Death, such as George Floyd's drug
regardless of what
use
you
and his
use,
health.
your opinion
we know
may
the
or may
defence
not
will use
be.
medical experts and an autopsy report to try and make this
this
argument.
is-
And we
this
should
is
note there are
poor
2
against
autopsies.
rich, cops
George
against
Floyd's family
us against
commissioned
them,
an independent autopsy
authority
which concluded that
against
Mr. Floyd's death was a
people who don't
homicide by
follow authority.
asphyxiation. The official autopsy conducted by the Hennepin County Medical
what
Examiner
my humble
also
belief,
declared the death a
and it's,
homicide, but also found the
jumped
drug
on by
fentanyl
lots of people
in George
to
Floyd's
stoke
sister.
the fire
Here's the criminal
of
defence attorney Suzanne
race.
Levan on how the defence is using that information.
Mr. Nelson argued a series of a combination of various health issues and the fact that Mr. Floyd ingested drugs right around the very same time, and our heart arrhythmia that was discovered, and the defense attorney would like the jury to believe that all of those events came together, all of those conditions, and it's just coincidental that he was lying in a prone position on the street with this officer pinning him down and compressing his chest.
Now, this case is one of many involving the deaths of black people at the hands of police in the US. So for many families, this trial is about much more than the death of one man. Important.
Do you know what winds me up as well? It's like
another case that's being widely discussed.
Almost like completely. It's almost as if like white people in this world walk around with a card, and as soon as the cops turn up, they go,
the video of the incident.
I'll get my white man's card club, and the cops just go,
repeatedly saying,
I'm not going to hit you over the head with this big fucking truncheon. My size 9's only going right up your fucking asshole. I ain't going to beat the shit out of you. I ain't going to treat you like dirt.
Not to pursue charges. Well,
that's what bugs my tits. That's what bugs my tits. This shit happens in mono societies. In the sense that if you go to a black-only society, there'll be corrupt cops kicking the fuck out of fucking people that they presume are lower than them. Go to India, for example, fuck's sake, you don't even need to look at the different colour of skin or the perceived race, the perceived different caste.
Brother said yesterday that this is a slum dog.
Kick fuck out you, hit you with sticks.
Was kneeling on his
Look at some of the stories that come out of India with like fucking.
It's not that
he
easy.
says it.
And it was proven in my case.
Crazy stuff.
They tried to blame my son for his own death, said because of his size. And you see how large George Floyd was? My son was a large man. And they said because his heart was enlarged. They tried to blame the murder on the people who they murdered. But no matter what you're saying about them, with these conditions,
you're trying to blame like people who are crusading for the black stuff are trying to hijack police brutality. Full stop.
Let's bring in Larry in, who's
police brutality. Full stop.
And I guess that interview
and
of yours
somehow, some way, trying to take it from the perspective of there's a problem with police brutality.
In fact, there are broader pressures here on the American justice system.
You're at the gang. You're not in the club. You're no Sheeple, you're no Conspiratard, you're no polarised, you're no radicalised enough. You're just a normal dude that goes, here, hold on, I've seen the fucking cops being assholes to fucking people with it, regardless of the colour of their skin.
They try to blame the victim. That is the way it's being seen here, with the line of questioning that's
That's what the cops do, regardless of what fucking colour of skin you are.
Police accountability. People have been telling us here that America itself is on
trial. I think cops only cover their arse when they're doing shit they shouldn't do it when it's against black people.
And some of the activists we've been speaking to here tell us that white America is on trial, that they want to see what happens if a black man dies on video, as happened with George Floyd.
Did he just say white America's on trial?
Philonis Floyd,
these motherfuckers are fucked. America's going to burn. Not one fucking campus fucking going like that. Kumbaya, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? But are all the same. Treat everybody the same. Everybody's trying to bite off their own wee fucking pieces of pie and fucking stick the black flag, the white flag, the green flag, the brown flag, the yellow flag.
Stayed with me here from one of the activists was
fucking red, white, and blue flag.
It's not easy to tell how it's going to play because there's a lot to deny on one side and there's a lot to prove on the other. They feel that even though there is a video, that 9 minutes and 29 seconds that the prosecution is talking about, it still takes a lot to convince the jury that there is a case to answer here. And what the defense of Derek Chauvin has to do is to introduce reasonable doubt. They just need to convince one juror that there is reasonable doubt here, and then the case itself begins to collapse. It is a very high threshold, a very high bar to pass. And even though they're optimistic, cautiously optimistic, I should say, they still know that this could come down to the wire, and it's hard to tell over the next month, however direction this could go.
Have you found anyone in Minneapolis who sees this another way, that Derek Chauvin is in any way being treated unfairly or being made a scapegoat because of wider problems within American society?
Not just in Minneapolis, but across America. This is a deeply divisive case, and there are those who think, and it's the centerpiece of the defense's argument.
It's a deeply divisive case. It's polarising. If you look into this one way or the other, the asshole media, and that including YouTubes and fucking rhyming, repeating, fucking talking heads on YouTube, you'll get dragged into one fucking polarised position or the other. Rather than the cops are out of order, they're obviously fucking over-exercising their authority. They concentrate on the guy that looks white.
his
this,
training,
and
that
not
he
the
should
other
not be
guys,
charged
not the other cops that were standing by who happened to be like
Larry,
fucking
in Minneapolis,
brown or yellow
thank you very
dudes, I
much
think. You know, the one they didn't quite fit the white against black narrative.
Now, I've got several significant developments to bring you on the coup in Myanmar. First of all, around 2,000 refugees have been turned back by Thailand. Here's the Thai Prime Minister explaining that.
That dove fear above gets everywhere.
Some villagers arrived and we asked what problems there were. And they said there weren't any. We then said, can you go back first? We didn't point any guns in their faces. We shook their hands and even wished them well.
We didn't point guns, we meant like that with our fingers and went.
Well, up until now, most of the resistance to the coup has come from the civil disobedience movement across the country. Now, though, there is also resistance from armed ethnic groups who are becoming involved too. One of the biggest is in the Karen National Union, and over the weekend, the Burmese military carried out airstrikes against this group here in the territory that it controls in Karen State. As you can see, the state sits on Myanmar's border with Thailand. Well, this was the aftermath of the airstrikes. These were the first aerial attacks in the area for 20 years. This footage was sent to us by an aid group called Free Burma Rangers, which works inside Myanmar, and this is its spokesperson.
The Rangers say?
Many of these airstrikes were conducted at night, which was a capability the Burma Army did not have before. They've done airstrikes in Kachin State and Arakan State, but we've not seen night strikes. So this is a new capability. It was a hit at night in the Daepuno Valley of the Yunzalan River, which is north of Paphun in northern Karen State. And the whole valley now is hiding. That's 5,000 people hiding. Altogether, now we have 12,000 people displaced. Then the planes came and went along the Thai-Burma border, bombing Karen places just on the Burma side of the border.
And then this is what happened next. Ethnic Karen families went into hiding. Some of them even took shelter in caves. Others took boats across the Salween River to Thailand. Reports suggest that injured people were allowed to stay in Thailand, but most other people were pushed back. We're also told that those who couldn't cross the river were sent to a displacement camp on the Myanmar side of the border. Then there's this footage.
I'll take bets if you can guess who the old colonial power of Myanmar Burma is. Until they got independence! Fast forward 50 years. And it's kind of situated next to China as well, which makes it kind of important. China and India.
It appears to show Thai border guards putting up barriers to keep people away. A local Thai official has told Reuters the army was sending most Burmese back as it deemed the situation over the border to be safe. Evidently, this isn't an assessment shared by some of the people fleeing. Let's hear from one of them.
The Burmese army is living all around us. We don't want this anymore. The soldiers live close by and give us trouble all the time.
Well, next let's hear from the BBC's Jonathan Head on the Thai border with Myanmar.
Well, the number of armed men we're seeing here tells you that this is now a very tense border with Myanmar. And the Karen people who've been coming in here, many of them injured, of course, for years, have known something that young activists in the cities of Myanmar.
I'm beginning to think somebody was eating their dinner when they were naming that country. Hey, what do we call this country? And
I'll
Give me a shout. I mean, it's a theory. I mean, it's more likely to be true than Three Sons and Nibiru and Bigfoot. But
learning at first hand that the Myanmar military, far from defending people, wages war against them with pitiless savagery, crushing them as enemies.
But many of those people were turned back
I love
by
British
Thailand,
spies. They're like, look at me, oh.
Let's hear more on this issue from my colleague Nopon Wongman from BBC Thai.
They were stopped in the jungle
by security personnel with the barbed wires and trying to prevent them from coming further into Thailand. So there's been kind of like pushed back in a way that they can be in certain areas, and it's kind of like a deterrence not to let too many of them come in. And then once this footage has been released, the government has to come and say, no, we're not trying to push them back, but we welcome them, we let them in, but we have our professional ways of dealing with these people.
Well, Burmese refugees are also trying to enter India, and that led to a crackdown there too. We're told the border state of Manipur had originally told officials to politely turn away new arrivals. It's since reversed that order.
China,
with more on
India,
that, the BBC's
what could possibly go wrong, y'all?
In Delhi.
See, what the authorities did was they were watching what was happening in the neighboring northeastern Indian state of Mizoram, where hundreds of people from Myanmar...
That guy's got a 12-year-old boy's moustache.
Is a little bit concerned because of what could it mean for its relations with
That's
the
what a 12-year-old boy's moustache looks like on an 80-year-old looking man.
There were reports that many Myanmar...
If you ever wondered... Here, I don't know, that was on my bucket list. I always wanted to know what a 12-year-old boy's moustache looked like on a 80-year-old guy. Now I know.
So because it is the border is not very clear.
Forested
areas, and it is very easy. I've been to this border, for example, in More in Manipur. Once you move away from the regular border crossing, it is like you don't know where you are, whether you are in Myanmar or in India. So it is easy for these people to cross into Manipur.
Now, many armed groups in Myanmar have spent decades fighting the military for greater control of their areas, and now some of these groups are helping the anti-coup movement.
Decades since the British pulled out, the place has been in perpetual warfare, y'all.
There's a new feeling from
Got to love the British Empire.
The cities going,
you ain't having it. We ain't having it.
So sorry.
You ain't having it.
The suffering the ethnics had under the government. Now we know. Please help us. And the ethnic people are saying, yes, we will help. Although we can barely stop the Burma army ourselves, the ethnic armies have done two things. They've sent in food, money for food and medicine to the cities.
This guy looks like he's a WWF wrestler on Alex Jones.
Leaders of the protesters or the
and
NLD
antivirus
or the
software.
CRPH, some of those leaders, the ethnics themselves have helped smuggle out to safety.
McAfee.
But the ethnic army is similar to the protesters. They don't have the power to really stop the Burma army, but they're trying to work together. Right now, though, there's no large
protesters are going to stop the army. Run towards that machine gun, you fucking unarmed civilian.
Now, as
the West have got your back.
Of course, there are many concerns that Myanmar could descend into a multifaceted conflict. In the past few hours, the Karen ethnic group has warned that Burmese ground troops are advancing on its territory and has called for international help to stop what it's calling an onslaught. And the broader context here is that armed ethnic groups in Myanmar control about a third of the country. Let's learn more about that with the help of another colleague, So Win Tan from BBC Burmese, who's live with us from London. Thank you for joining us. Just first of all, help us understand the extent to which these ethnic groups and their armed wings are able to control parts of Myanmar.
Since the independence in 1945, then Myanmar has experienced this kind of civil war. A little bit of history. Myanmar.
Since the British gave them independence, it's been constant civil war. I don't know about you. I'm sure it's a pure coincidence, and Britain's had nothing to do with that.
More autonomy and from the central government. They have been waging this war against the central government for over 7 decades. But in recent years, that the government had made ceasefire agreement with different ethnic groups. There are still groups which haven't signed any ceasefire agreement with the central government. Karen National Union, which we are talking about, is one of them. They have signed it. But on Saturday, they overran a military outpost and then seized that military outpost and killed a few of the soldiers and captured a few of them. So military launched retaliatory attacks. We talked about this area bombardment, and now soldiers are marching towards those kind of Karen National Union, pushing the refugees towards the Thai-Burma border.
And so, how easy is this alliance between the protesters in the city against the coups and these ethnic armed groups? Because these groups, after all, are looking for more autonomy from the central government, and some of these protesters in the cities want to give power back to the democratically elected central government.
Yeah, but for now they have a common enemy, which is the Myanmar army. So they need to fight this Myanmar army first. That's the understanding between the protesters, urban protesters and the ethnic armed groups. So urban protesters, they knew that they couldn't fight this, the heavy, weapon machinery of the military. So they seek help from the ethnic armies. Ethnic armies also welcome this, like, come to our land. Some are openly offering military training and weapons to those the urban protesters. So this is where they can form the alliance for now, because for both of them see the Myanmar army at this moment as their common enemy. They need to fight first.
Stay with me, So Win. A monitoring group in Myanmar is saying the number of people killed since the February coup has now passed 500. It's reported 8 more people died today. These pictures are from Yangon. The smoke is from rubbish that's been piled up into the streets and then set on fire. Other videos appear to show soldiers firing towards demonstrators as they crouch behind sandbags. So, Win, what are you hearing about the violence in the city?
As soon as you hear, like,
still protests are going on,
the army's
different shapes and
firing
forms.
at unarmed civilians. You know the British are trying to fucking stir up a coup, man.
Because they face lethal force.
That's how they do it.
And
it's usually the British agents that are doing the firing.
They use lethal force, use live bullets. But the protests are still going on in different shapes and forms. We talked about these garbage bags, scattered across the streets, because they say that protesters are saying that you shoot the protesters like garbage. So now these are the things that you should really shoot. So overnight they were scattered.
We've went through the yellow protests, this protest. Now we've got the garbage protests.
Different silent protests, civil disobedience movement, banging of pots and pans in whatever way they can. But they know that once they get out onto the streets, that they
sounds
would
like
face
Britain, doesn't
lethal
it?
force by the
just watch YouTube, do some civil disobedience, and
so, in briefly,
support the NHS and bang your pots and pans.
Any justification for the fact that it's killing civilians in the street?
Man, human beings are dumb, haired fucks.
We are trying to stabilize
seriously, man.
The country. While these protesters
bunch of being for
they term the protesters
well, apart from me, of course,
trying to destroy the stability of the country. That's why they legitimize or they justify their action of getting off the protesters.
So easily swayed with pure parlour tricks. How many people die in one day? And
now, I've got a variety
Floyd
of updates
Mayweather,
on the
or whatever
for
his
you.
name
Here
is.
In the UK, restrictions are starting to be relaxed this week. And England's chief medical officer is warning there's a high likelihood that case numbers will rise.
Which is getting used for political purposes.
What can people do to reduce
it's not
the
an honourable
chance
person
of
trying
transmitting
to
or
further the goals
the
of
virus?
race relations.
On that, here's the BBC science editor, David Shookman.
Cases are falling, but the virus is still around. And although the vaccines are saving lives, they can't guarantee protection. So what are the risks? Well, for people out enjoying the sun today, infection is really unlikely. That's why activities
oh my God, man, I've been locked up too long, man.
Lockdown is relaxed. The research tells us that when you're out in the open, the risks are very low. That's because if someone is infected, the virus that they breathe
but if
out
you want to crawl
should be
up that
very
drain
quickly
pipe.
dispersed in the fresh air. Even so, the advice is to remain cautious. That's because even outdoors, if you're very close together and talking face to face for a long time, studies show the virus can spread. But as this animation...
I love how stupid the population must be. And they are. Because people don't think the virus is real. And that means they're extra special stupid. So what are we going to do today, brains? Okay, Pinky, what we're going to do is sit in front of a TV camera and try not be patronising, but yet we will, and explain to mental midgets how germs spread. I mean, do you know those people in the conspiracy world who think soap is a conspiracy? Soap! You know, saving lives for fucking thousands of years. Soap. Saving lives for thousands of years. And there's still idiots out there that think it's some sort of a conspiracy by links. To keep you... You know what I mean? All you just need to get like a very bog standard cheap bar of soap and boom shakalaka, you have the science behind how to stay the fuck clean and don't stink like a bastard, and just use. Sometimes I think it's just people's laziness as well, you know. Like, see, like, fuck it, I'll pretend I think soap's a conspiracy, so I don't need to wash, and even though I stink like a motherfucker, I'll just go, well, you stink. You monkeys going. You ever seen those wee monkeys somewhere where the hot pools? They love it. Get a wash. Learn the science behind soap. Might even save you for corona. That doesn't exist, of course, because it's part of the New World Order campaign to kill the family, where you lock yourself away from your family and stink them away for you because you don't believe in soap. Why you drink your own piss? Oh God, man, I crack myself up. Anyway, let's listen to like the corona conspiracy.
It shows the risks are greatest indoors, with the virus accumulating if there's no fresh air. So
yes, the risk is most standing in front of a windy liquor, licking windows or sneezing in your face. I was in the supermarket the night, man, and there was some sort of a fucking Romanian gypsy tea leaf in front of me, you know, like fucking junkie or drunk, you know, like moving things about the shelf, you know, waiting for the prime moment to stick it on his fucking pocket. And I'm just wanting my fucking plasters and a bit of fucking antiseptic cream. I'm standing behind him, like, oh, I've never fucking swore so much at anybody in a supermarket ever before in my life. Anyway, let's listen to how to keep yourself safe, folks. Look, it's The Sims. All you do is need to play The Sims.
So good ventilation and social distancing really matter when places like bars and restaurants reopen.
Are they spacing people apart effectively? Are they considering the ventilation? Have they got doors and windows open? Or is
She's
it
an environmental
some other
engineer.
form of ventilation in there?
Help keep the virus levels down.
Hold on a second. Is that the New World Order Illuminati squad admitting that they actually use HARP to create the environment? Because she's an environmental engineer. I think I've just cracked the code.
Step safely. Stay outside when you're with people not in your household or bubble.
The government keeps emphasising the need to keep hands clean to reduce the chances of infection. But it's also now highlighting how the virus can spread through the air, especially indoors, and how just opening windows can make all the difference.
Letting in fresh air.
That's just
And this
our
matters
breath.
because although the vaccination programme is doing a great job protecting the most vulnerable, the virus is mainly spread by under 50s.
It's like sitting next to somebody who doesn't floss or pick their
That's why
floss or pick
scientists
their
are
teeth.
still urging caution. David Shook,
For instance, their
BBC News.
mouth's like a dead corpse, man.
And David ends this half of
Everybody's
Outside
too
Source.
polite to tell them,
Reminder, our lead
like,
story
mate,
is that
fucking
the
hell,
trial
man.
of Derek Chauvin, the former
Don't even
police
clean your
officer
teeth.
accused of
Fucking
murdering
get
George
between
Floyd,
the teeth and get all
is
that
continuing
rotten
in
fucking
Minneapolis,
meat out
in
of it, man.
Minnesota.
Your mouth
We heard from both the
stinks like
prosecution
a
and
rotten
defence
corpse.
yesterday. Now the prosecution is calling a variety of witnesses, and of course both the prosecution and the defence lawyers have an opportunity to ask them questions. In the second half of Outside Source, we'll listen in to some of the proceedings as it continues. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Right, so, that's... So, race baiting seems to be the way of the day. Tell you not to discriminate and then use terms such as people of colour. Do you know what that means? Do you know what I hear when I say people of colour? I hear everybody apart from you. That's honestly what I hear. It's exclusive, not inclusive. You know, like, every cunt! That's what I would say. You know, instead of every cunt of colour! I know, because it's excluding what's perceived to be. Anyway, I would argue pink's a fucking colour. And we look pink. Anyway, enough of me reacting to the race baiting. of the bullshit. Hi everybody, all the regulars in the chat and stuff, hope you are all well. I'm going to try and make Tuesday the wee normal slot and do a few things in between as well. As in when the opportunity arises. Now, somebody wrote a comment on the last live stream I done. And I thought I would talk some bullcrap. Now, basically, it's in and around vaccinations. Now, I'm a dumbass motherfucker, no qualifications, but I do try and objectively understand how things work, rather than watch a YouTube video and jump to sensational conclusions and parrot unfounded claims. I genuinely try and get my head, like chemtrails is the perfect example. I God knows how many years I would have been out there parroting, filming chemtrails, going, "Let the fucking spray this," without even like trying to get my head round both sides of the argument and whatnot. So I've done the same with vaccinations, because I'm a dumbass motherfucker, and there was hundreds of questions and hundreds of what I would have presumed to be pure analogies, which didn't make sense to me. But I did put a wee bit of time and effort due to the pandemic into trying to get my head around it one way or the other. Now, a few of these things. Now, again, these are the elephant in the room things that you can't discuss, debate, bring up, because you'll be labelled a conspiratard or a sheeple in certain quarters. Nobody can actually discuss this, but I can. A few of the things, right, that really used to bug my tits before I educated myself or tried to get my head round, which was there's lots of different ways of putting this, right, and I'm speaking straight. I'm not speaking in riddles. Herd immunity, you know, that common thing. Well, everybody should get it because it protects everybody, and if you don't get it, you're a weak link in the chain, and you should be encouraged to get it. And it'd be like, well, if everybody gets, and this used to be my attitude, right? This used to be my spot on go-to attitude. I can't remember how many times I would have parroted this shit. And it's from a place, and in hindsight, it was a place of ignorance I was coming from. And if you try and get your head round the whole picture, it makes more sense. And what I'm talking about here is the herd immunity thing. Why should I be forced to get it, or why should it be in why should the mind melt try and imply that I should get it to keep everybody safe and stuff? And it's only due to trying to get my head round the science of this shit during the pandemic that this is that I've done a U-turn, and it now makes more sense to me. So, with regards to, now I'm speaking in general terms and for a very fucking idiot, for a very stupid place, but most vaccinations in general terms are injected into you to create an autoimmune response. To create antibodies within your blood, that if indeed that virus does get introduced into your system at any point, you're already kind of like, your body's primed to wipe it out. Now, this is where my ignorance used to lie. I used to never understand, well, why should I get the flu vac? And I don't get the flu vaccination, by the way. I'm speaking out loud here, and I'm offering things open for debate and things that I've improved my ignorance on, but I'm still need to work on the long ingrained attitudes that I've got in my head. But anyway, I digress. So, the best way I can explain this is I never used to be able to get my head round why it was like why everybody had to get it to try and promote or kind of like get rid of the virus kind of thing. I thought it was like, well, if you want it, you go and get it, you protect yourself, let me do what I want, right? And I still believe that nobody should force anybody into getting anything. I think it's kind of like self-evident. But anyway, through the corona thing and the different vaccinations and all that that's coming out with this stuff, I now understand that when you do get an autoimmune response, whether it be through the virus itself or whether it be through a vaccination, and I'm shooting for the hip here, right? So I'm probably fucking this up, but this is just my best understanding, that most of the time, that autoimmune response, the antibodies that they will then be in your blood don't last forever. You'll get a certain period of time, and it's not a fail-safe as well. Doesn't matter, like some people will create more antibodies than others, and some people will need more, and some people will need less. There's lots of variables. That's why it's not, take the vaccination, you're safe. And again, this pickles people's heads who don't understand that, or who even have attempted to get their head round it. I've attempted to get my head round it. I'm not pretending to understand it. I've attempted to get my head round it. So, I now understand why the idea is to go out there, zap everybody at once, with the hope that with everybody's immunity, the their antibodies all peaked at the same time, the virus itself will fizzle out. There'll be nowhere for it to go. Anywhere that it'll go, it'll die out, and thus putting an end to it. And this has happened before with vaccination programs. I think I'm firing for it. I'm pretty sure it was polio. But there has been things that have been pretty much eradicated due to vaccination programs, and it's due to that that scenario that I just spoke about, where they go out, zap the whole population, the virus itself has nowhere to go. Boom, anywhere it goes, it just gets knocked in the bud and it just fizzles out, and there's pretty much little to none of it left. And I can understand that's what they're wanting and hoping to do with corona. That's what they've been wanting and hoping to do with flu for some time, but they can't do it because it keeps mutating. Now, these are things that I've got my head around. The science behind soap, what soap does, why you should use it. Not only does it stop you stinking, which is a very good bonus, it stops minging bacteria building up in your fucking sweaty bits, man. Ugh. Ugh. Fucking minging cunts that don't wash, man. God, I feel like an 8-year-old saying that, and yet there's fucking adults out there who think soap's a conspiracy. Right, so head round viruses. So I said they're the herd immunity. So I understand why they want to go out there and zap everybody. I'm not telling you to get it or not get it. You make up your own mind. I've made up my mind, and believe it or not, it's not actually to rush out and get this anytime soon. I'm going to wait until the new and improved fucking. I'm waiting for the vaccine 360. No, the fucking PlayStation 1 version, you know what I'm talking about? I'm waiting for the new and improved. All bugs. Fucking worked out. Shit. But I'm not an anti-vaxxer. My family members are getting it. The older members of my family are getting it. And I am more than happy that they're getting it. And even just for that attitude of like feeling safe. Like feeling like them feeling a wee bit more safer in their headspace to meet people and all that, you know. Pros, cons, cost benefit analysis. And again, I'm not sitting up here pretending to be an expert in it. I'm not saying there isn't risks. There's a risks at any point when you inject anything into your body at any point. It's a cost-benefit analysis. Is this high going to be worth it? But aye, that's my crazy take on vaccines. What else? I understand the science behind inducing an autoimmune response in the human body to build up antibodies against particular diseases. That is undisputed science that you can actually replicate, monitor, and people can do that around the world with their petri dishes. There's arguments to be had about the amount of autoimmune responses that are getting generated with the amount of vaccinations people and babies and whatnot are getting. Boom, 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 boom. Whether it's good for anybody, you know, because basically what you're doing is you're tricking the body into thinking it's no well. So like, let's say that's actually a reality and the body is getting no well all those times. To me, logically, I would say it's no good to your body to go boom, 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 boom. It's going to tear down your immune system, I would say. So there's arguments to be had. There's grey areas. Another very interesting thing that I found, and this was an eye opener for me, and it was the MMR, isn't it? Aye, mumps, measles, rubella, 3-in-1. Now that was the start of the anti-vax mass movement here in the UK. I would definitely argue. And if you go and look at that objectively and see if there was any motives for somebody to make something more of that than there was, then you'll find, yeah. What you'll find is a guy was a fundamental Christian who had mega problems with the embryos that were used. Embryos from aborted fetuses, that's the correct saying, which had the pro-life fundamental Christians wetting their knickers. And fair dues have that point of view and go and shout for high heaven and all that, but then they came along and shat their fucking religious mumble-jumble bullshit all over the science and swayed the argument of that. And not a lot of people will tell you that, but well, not a lot of people know it. And don't believe me, go and check it out. Go into the very early protest groups against MMR. All fundamental. If it's not Allah Akbar nut bars fucking trying to fucking tune you to the moon, it's the fundamental fucking Christians. And it boils down to pro-life, the militant, and like, again, this is newspaper shit. I know you know I'm meant to believe in newspapers because the newspapers on the internet told me not to believe the newspapers, but this is newspapers documented the militant Christians, the militant pro-life mob were behind the anti-MMR stuff because of the revelation that the MMR researchers used embryos for aborted fetuses, which they wet their knickers about, and started this campaign, which is still echoing to this day. Then you wonder why you listen to Alex Jones and you end up an anti-vaxxer. Why you listen to UK Column when you're an anti-vaxxer? Doesn't need to go to their Sunday fucking school meeting, man. You never seen such a bunch of sad sack motherfuckers in your life? And aye, it's Sunday school. Fucking brain warped. Fucking let the state of them. Brian Gerrish, you know. Oh god. Sorry, I don't mean to fucking slaughter the individuals, but they're sad sacks. And people put them in pedestals as if they're some sort of freedom fighters or stuff. It took me ages to figure those motherfuckers out. It really did. because I was so ball deep in the cult. They're saying what I like to see. They're saying what I want to hear. They're saying the people that I think are bad are bad. Couldn't they fucking see the wood for the trees and how they were just like that, grooming me, grabbing my balls and going, don't cough, I'll hum. Different type of doctor. Different type of doctor. Anyway, so I'll do another 10 minutes and then I'm out of here. I don't know what to talk about anymore. What have I talked about? Right, so my kind of weird take on vaccinations. It's not a weird take, man. Just go and look at the peer-reviewed fucking papers about how vaccinations work, and then don't get sucked in with the tractor beams of the fucking conspiratards or the sheeple telling you have to be extreme in one way or the other, where you can go, hey, can I no pick and choose what I want to put in my fucking arm? Here, I'll have one of them, 6 of them. That's a good shit. And 2 of them, instead of just yes or no, you know? Bukkake style. There's punk saying that other vaccinations have been used using embryos and all that. So if you're looking for, like, other than people telling the truth, if you're looking for motive for people to fill your head with bullshit about vaccinations, look no further than the militant Christians pro-life mob. Am I mistaken? Now, listen to this crazy ass shit. Jim Dawson actually went and cut his teeth with the militant Christian pro-life mob in America, by his own admission. Now, these motherfuckers were doing car bombs and all that. Jim Dawson's also very active in Northern Ireland political scene. And they're no fucking shy of a car bomb or two. You know what I'm talking? I don't know, man. Everybody's worried about militant fucking Islam and fucking the Jews taking over the world and all that. You can't fucking see what's on the doorstep, man. Oh, I was going to say hundreds of shit there, but it could get framed in a hell of a bad way. But, like, those other groups out there who like to remain nameless, but are out there blowing shit up, setting up paramilitary fucking units and armies, fucking arming these people, or kitting them out. All in the name of one-word Christian soldier shit. I mean, I know everybody doesn't like to think Christianity's militant, but it fucking is. I used to go to the BB, Scottish organisation set up by the Church of Scotland. Militant shit. March about with your uniform, saluting the flag, doing your fucking marching. In the band. I was in the band. Was as well. And it's great stuff, man. It's a great organisation and shit, but I know, like, can't deny it what it is. I mean, see if you filmed brown people in fucking Arab land doing that shit, man. Swear to God, you wouldn't feel. Most people in the West wouldn't bat an eyelid if those fucking young kids get bombed. Because they're bouncing about doing drills with guns and all that shit. It's exactly what you done in the BB. It was a militant Christian organisation. God knows how many kiddie fiddlers were in it. I never came across any, to be honest, but all these organisations. Anyway. That's enough about the BB days. I used to love that place, man. Couldn't handle me, man. I'm not a person meant to fit into a structured organisation, man. I'm a free radical. Oh, I'm going to go and cook myself a steak and chips. And keep smoking my fart machine. Cha Maria Punk blazing in the evening, guys and girls. Hopefully you're all good and in a good mood that the bloody fucking lockdown's on the way out, man. They tried to put an end to lockdown and Bobo said no and no, no. Yes, it's been bad. Seeing freestyling, but there's a song in that. Oh man, I was watching one of the cop shows or something when I was flicking channels the day, and it was showing you cops busting people for fucking having parties and all that. It was like the cops are outside and they had no power to go in. And then speaking to one of the guys at the window, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we're watching movies and getting high." And the cop's like, "Ah, right, get an excuse to go in now." Boom. Fucking batter the door down. But hey, Rule Britannia. Freedom! Oh. Let's see if all these fucking bullcrap fucking laws get repealed. They won't. Well, I don't know. Hold on. I don't mean to be so cynical. See, some would say that's finished, but I'm going to say it's half full. But hopefully they repeal all these bullcrap laws. Let's watch this space, because that's what they said they would do. But I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with the kind of the governmental hokey cokey, as you call it. We take your rights away under an emergency. It stops and we pretend it doesn't. We do the hokey cokey and turn the screws. Guess who fucking loses? I think I'm blending different songs together there, my friend. But, aye, they're not going to fucking... well, I don't know. Let's hope they stick to their fucking word and take away all the bullcrap laws, and cops can't bounce about just fucking lording it over people like myself. If you don't know, I'm a lord. And address me as such. Lord Craig MacDonald Houston of Charrow Glen. Narrow Glen. A Gaelic for Narrow Glen. Charrow Glen. You've got it written down phonetically. It's hard to learn how to pronounce your land, you know what I mean? Cheogleen. Hold on, it's more Cheogleen. Top of the morning to you. I'm Lord Craig Houston of Cheogleen. So, there's we are. Top of the morning. Aye. Oh man, can't wait to fucking get on my passport and book a holiday, man. See if I get fucking first class. That would be the business. turn up, you're nedded up, man. Like, hey, first class, give it to me now, baby. Give it to me, baby. That would be funny though. I can see it happening. Well, people want to come dine with me, don't lie. And I swear to God, man, I'm thinking I'm upgrading my title, getting a bit of castle and all that. Get a few titles in there, man. You could end up with a big, title that fucking large, man. Have all sorts of land. We bit of castle. See, mine's is Riverside, motherfucker. I'm from the Riverside, and it's got its own tartan and shit. And I've got fishing rights at the river. Whereas you peasants don't. If you want to fish, better come and ask my permission. Oh man, that's a great present. It's so funny, man. Alright. Cheerglin. So that's where I'm from. I've been learning the pronunciation. Well, you could get called a laird or a lord, and I went for lord. And I upgraded my certificate, so I'm getting a certificate with a big wax seal and all that, and that's going to go next to my claymore, next to my big fucking lion. That fucking better be hurrying up and getting here. God. I'm just looking, Scottish election debate. Greens will support a second referendum. So are we just going to constantly keep asking until people have watched Braveheart enough till we get the right answer? Is that the script? Because I'll tell you what, I'm not happy about that. But the fuck does that matter? Sweet Fanny Adams, that's exactly what it matters. Sweet Fanny fucking Adams. Anyway, let's listen for a wee bit.
Trust in Nicola Sturgeon as well, and they looked at that, I think, and asked it a bit.
Is there any straight women in politics?
Policies which will mean something to young people and start to paint that vision for the future. And I take what John Curtis says on board, though, that wasn't done tonight. There wasn't like a single soundbite that came out of tonight that we'll remember in the days and weeks ahead. And all of them need to look at that and really work on that if they're going to get their message heard far and wide, and not just from the people who are watching debates.
And just as we come to the end of this programme now, John, in terms of the question, the legislation that has been drafted, the 9-page legislation that Nicola Sturgeon was talking about Indie Ref 2, is that going to be very much a replay of the first referendum in terms of question and just really waiting for the country to see how the country has changed?
Well, that perhaps is a more complicated question than maybe you realised. It is certainly true that the question that's been
just tell me about the flux capacitor, that's all I want.
Just before Parliament broke up is exactly the same question that was had in 2014. However, if the UK government is not willing to give the Scottish government a Section 30 order, I don't think that's going to be the question that appears on the ballot paper, or at least that's not going to be the question that appears on the ballot paper. If the Scottish government wants to have some chance at least of being able to run a referendum that will not be declared ultra vires, i.e. illegal, by the Supreme Court. Back in when the SNP were minority government between 2007 and 2011, they did come up with a question that was designed to try and see if it could be done simply on the basis of the Scottish Parliament. But that said, even if this is the same question on the ballot paper, will the debate be the same? No. And all
right, now on to something a wee bit more important. Steak porn for those who fucking look how thick that bad boy is, man. Do you know what? It's not one of the nicest ones. It's got very little to no marbling. But it says no what you're after. You know, like wee veins of fat running through it. But I swear to God, it's well better than your local fucking butcher, maybe. And it was like it was a relatively kind of posh wee suburb of Glasgow. I went and got my local butcher steaks for. And maybe just didn't cut them thick enough or something, but they tasted lovely, but they weren't the consistency of product. And I'm not sponsored by Tesco finest Scottish sirloin steak, but send me hundreds of steak and I'll eat it. Always. Oh, child, I'll enjoy it, man. You know, believe it or not, this is my attempt to lose weight. It's called the steak and tuna and ratatouille diet. Oh, asparagus. See, the thing is, Punk, I love pepper sauce, and I do make a mean one for scratch myself, if, to be honest. I've done in the past. But see if you've got a really, really, really lovely steak, and I cook mine's medium rare, right? And just a bit of mustard. Oh man. You know, the mustard just, and then you're like, I sound like Myanmar. See, I'm pretty sure the person that was naming Myanmar was eating a steak. Fact. Right, look at this. Fucking every cunt's getting a fucking heat wave apart from us. Look at this. I knew how to do it. Oh, cool. This is the one. No, you know, I thought that was the one-armed.
And it will start to feel much chillier indeed.
I thought that was the one-armed weather girl, which I think's a brilliant. The world in which we stay. You know. But why not? I mean, why not have a one-armed weather girl? I think in the future we'll have a no-armed weather girl and she'll just point with her nose and go over for there. And I think that's fucking way. I think that's brilliant. Equal opportunities. I don't know about you, I don't think it's some sort of a comedy fucking sketch, a PC going fucking bizarro. Not at all. I want to see, what about, now, and see once we've cracked the one-armed weather girl, right? See when we've got the no-armed weather girl, where do we go to next? Got to be the one-legged, whether fucking girl or man or thing or blob or fucking Ken doll parts, fuck knows what language we will then be allowed to use, because we will be arrested by offending some cunt with Ken doll parts. Now, once we've got the fucking no armed and one leg hopping fucking weather girl boy man thing blob pointing at the fucking things while they're hopping on one leg with their nose. We're going to have the fucking no legs, no arms, torso fucking, ain't me? So it's going to be like a fucking, like, and what they're going to have to do is just, because I've seen this on the TV, it must be real. What they're going to have to do is they're just going to have to flop around like a fish and go, hold on, and then at a prize moment, I'm going to and at that moment they'll be pointing their nose at the north bit, going, rain, rain. Right, and that's ultimately where we're going with this. I don't know about you. That would keep me happy, and I would feel like we're moving in the right direction as a society. Once we've got some sort of a fishman-like creature with genitalia is optional, no arms, no legs. Fuck it, like, well, they need some sort of a head brain. Just a bit, like, just a flopping bit of flesh. There's some scientist somewhere's injecting electricity into it, so thus it's deemed as life. Like, oh, equal rights for this flopping bit of flesh. Okay, let's make it the weather flesh. Can it be a man or a woman? The weather thing, cousin, weather it. Oh man, you know what? I love being logical, because me and Spock, whew, same page. We know where this world's going. Oh, hold on, what happened there? Oh, what's going on here? It's a bit weird. Freak me out, man.
Floyd's neck.
Don't twist my melon, man.
Yeah, it's striking that all of them have said this morning that they felt powerless to stop what was happening. One of them saying that Chauvin appeared to kneel harder on his neck as they shouted at him to stop. We're going to take a pause for a second and dip into the trial for a few minutes. On the stand at the moment is Genevieve.
Oh God, fucking. Let's not do the race baiting shit. Can't be bothered with the race baiting stuff. It's a bit tiresome. You just end up in one camp or the other, fucking upsetting somebody along the lines. Whereas if you just didn't fucking pay attention to the fucking endless bunt. Where's it be a lesbian woman and fucking their job choices? Why do they always go for men stereotypically man jobs? I didn't say blow jobs, I said man jobs. Not inferring they're oh God, I'm beat. You can't say nothing for upsetting something. You can't. Oh my God, that's profound. You can't say nothing for upsetting something. Oh God, that's going to, and again, that's going to upset something. No, that's not funny. Do you know what's so good? See, nowadays, because I don't smoke tobacco, when I laugh, I don't wheeze. I don't sound like Muttley. Honestly, I've noticed it. My lungs are that wee bit clearer. I don't. Swiss Army knife. Belgian beer. They don't go together, they don't make good babies. Anyway, well, thanks for joining all. I'm going to start doing this every Tuesday. For a wee bit of the... I'm going to go and munch on my steak. I'm going to do this every Tuesday. There's a wee bit of light-hearted relief from the polarised nation. So if you don't want to participate in any of the clans, we can come and have a laugh at everything here without getting scorned at. You can say you're going to take a vaccination without getting thought of as an Illuminati sheeple. You can also be anti-vax and prefer your Sharky or Dyson. It's also acceptable hoovering equipment on this channel. You can also be a lesbian that doesn't participate in golf or fire services or police or something involving some sort of an authoritative uniform and a baton. If that exists. You can also smoke fart machines with what looks to be a penis pump on the end of it. That's because it is. Oh, don't worry, punk, I'm gonna enjoy my food. I'm getting really that's what I've done during lockdown, man. Eat, cook and eat. And a stone and a half of fuck. That's why I'm eating steak, to lose weight. The butcher told me, he said, see if you eat all this, here, buy one of the shit off me, eat all this, you'll lose weight. No, but the idea is, know the Atkins thing, but just cut out a lot of carbs, as much as you can. So, rather than make a big plate of fucking whatever, just have a steak. It's only £4. Steak. Some green beans or asparagus would be lovely actually, but I've not got any. I'm going to have some roast tomatoes. And I need to fill that up a wee bit more for next time. Oh, but I can't. Well, the gyms and all that are going to be opening up shortly, man. I cannot fucking wait. Oh, remember to thumbs it up. Share it with your friends, family, foes. If you know anybody else that likes these kind of shows, but doesn't like the polarization of the nation, doesn't like the way people are getting pitted against people because of what drugs you want to inject into your arm. Or not. Or just the way that people that aren't experts in any of this shit are quite willing to fucking pure look down the nose and chastise people for fucking taking it or not taking it. Let people make their own mind up. Hell yeah. If you want to smoke fart machine, if you're pro fart machine, then be pro fart machine. I've got the oven, I've got the cooker on heating up. If you send it on the Skypes, Maria, I'll have a wee shifty. I've not been on the Skypes, or I'm just not online much anymore because I've beat the addiction of that. I mean, the battle is understanding it's an addiction, and then like actively even just trying to break the addiction. I've broke the addiction in nicotine, and apparently that's the hardest one to break out of the lot, so stands me in good stead for being able to recognise and want to break other addictions in future. And the other one that I've smashed is addiction to social media. And I don't want to get sucked back into it. like it's just a wee, it's an electrical thing in the corner of my room that I switch on, and it has to remain so. It's not a world. Another elephant in the room. Obsess about talking about how the sheeple are in the Matrix and people are in the Matrix. Well, your whole life revolves around being connected on the internet 24/7. Which is pretty much the Matrix. Another elephant in the room. You know, going about lording it over people because you've watched the Matrix and got a certain take on it. Where did you watch that? On a TV? No, watching a TV program on a computer screen is still a TV program. Oh man, the hypocrisies of some people out there, you know, lording it over people like, you watch Coronation Street and EastEnders. Well, watching endless shite on TV themselves, but somehow it's okay because their brand of TV's allowed, you know, and they're not. The inability to actually even fucking register any of this shit and just stay in a wee delusional world where everything's, you know, you can't even fucking look at yourself in the mirror and see see where you're at and what you're about. Which is very true for. I took it for granted that most people. I took it for granted people were able to do that, but not everybody can. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good or a bad. It's a good or a bad trait or whatever. Just like I've noticed this, some people are just unable to objectively look at anything they do at all. I mean, it's not even like you're asking them to go into Jeremy Kyle and fucking confess all of it, and he says, be honest with yourself. No chance. Not for a lot of people, man. But if you're going to bounce into the truth movement or anything resembling that or along those lines or stuff, first person to be honest with is yourself. In fact, the most productive person ever to be honest with is yourself. I think. But anyway, digress. I love that guy, digress. I've got all my computers mixed up here, so I can't really click on links. Oh god, it's all fucked up now. There's a weather report.
What the fuck's going on here? That's not how you do a weather forecast these days. Eh? You've got to use words like thunder snow, weather bomb, snowpocalypse. Yes, but in meteorological terms... Fuckity bye to you, pal. Strap yourselves in, folks. There's an Atlantic shitstorm heading our way with a full-on piss blizzard of thunder wind. This is...
What is that, cha? Oh, Newsoids. I suppose it's a bit like spitting image, man. That's funny. That's a good tune, cha.
Ordinary rain. This is a weather shambles, a cumulo bastard, a total rain fuck. It's the sort of rain that would make Noah abandon his fucking ark and...
Oh god, that's another thing that bugs my... And lots of things bug my tits. But you know, like, they'll go, this is the worst thing ever since records began. When did records begin? That was 6 years ago. And then they don't forget, then throw into the mix the fact that the tools to take these measurements are ever evolving and more accurate and better and bigger and better and bigger and better, constantly evolving. But anyway, plus the records they've got are no more than like 100, 200 years. Like, you know, like actual genuine records. The rest of them are all like guesstimates used by measuring something else. Core samples and all that shit, if you like to go back in time. It's all guesstimates and fucking best guesses and shit, and oh god, makes me sound conspiratorial. But the weather thing and the apocalyptic fucking we're killing the planet shit is, to me, is obviously getting used. How real it is or isn't, I don't know. I've listened to both sides of the debate, and like, there's points to be made on both sides. But damn tootin', I know for a fact if I was king of the world and my kingdom and my fiefdom was under threat by some fucking Chinaman somewhere, that I'd be willing to pull out the stops and lie about fucking how we're killing the planet just to remain on top of the Chinaman. Damn tootin'. Do you know what I mean? Browbeat them. Oh, here, China, we've raped and pillaged the world and became number uno by doing anything we want with no restrictions whatsoever. The planet's a wee bit sick now, China. You better put fucking carbon filters on that and have a green economy. Just as they're exploding. See, if China didn't have to put the fucking economic green hat, and if they've played the game, they've played it wisely, they went, right, okay, and double bluffed. This is what I believe is happening, but I stay in a different dimension. And they've double buffed the West and played the fucking green game. And they're playing it well. The Chinaman, this China versus the West right now, man, folks. And Russia's against China, I think. But anyway. What time's that? Right, that's nearly 2 hours, that's more than enough. So, thanks for joining everybody. Tune in every Tuesday. I'm going to do something similar along the lines of talking about hopefully trying to touch on a few of the elephant in the room topics in and around the polarisation of the nation. Right now, whether you subscribe to the Conspiratard way of thinking or whether you're a Sheeple, whether you watch Coronation Street and EastEnders or whether you watch YouTube. Me, I watch both. That's lies. I watch Coronation Street and EastEnders. Well, the OG a drama, baby. Don't need the YouTube bull crap. But hopefully these are all well and appreciate the different wee slant. Looking at things. And the streams seem to have held up well and stuff. So thank you very much. Stick a wee thumbs up. Tune in on Tuesday. Subscribe and bell up for any broadcasts between now and then. If I'm bored out my tits and I feel like I want to share some shit with yourselves. Alrighty folks, take care. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to do a wee 10-minute outro as well. Gives me time to wind down and you can wind down in the chittity chat as well. So thanks for tuning in everybody and hopefully catch yous next time. Catchies. Clips, clips.
Tonight at 11.
Doom! It's a plan! And I'm angry! I'm not a slave! I've broken the conditioning! It doesn't work on me! I'm primitive, I'm real, I know the enemy, and if we can have this spirit of normal humanity spread, it's over for the globalist! Break the conditioning now! Excuse me.
This is not the InfoWars Nightly News, where the answer to 1984 is not $19.95 plus shipping and handling, but the answer is to try and understand the double-barrel bullcrap, the double-speak, and the Orwellian wonderland we now find ourselves in. So sit back and relax as I take you through a real alternative look at the news and so-called alternative media alike. Enjoy.
Keeps clear.